Okay, here we go. The hardest game. The hardest game. It's probably like a survival game. Like you actually like. It starts off with some couple dice rolls, but next thing you know, you're in an actual labyrinth, having to try your best to survive. SCP-1315 is kept in secure storage at Site 15. It is stored within a small safe on premises. The code to which can be requested via written application from Dr. As SCP-1315 will not exhibit any anomalous effect unless directly interacted with, no further containment is necessary. Item SCP-1315 is what appears to be a standard 5.5 times 5.1 inch video game cartridge for use with the North American version of Nintendo Entertainment System console, also known as the NES. The cartridge is manufactured out of gray plastic and is unlabeled according to an operation manual packaged with the cartridge. The game is entitled Professor Ghoul's Terrifying Horror Challenge and is accompanied by a subtitle reading A Realistic High-Stakes Action Game for 1 to 2 players. I'm telling you, it's good. You die in the game, you die for real, my man. When the cartridge is used in the Nintendo Entertainment System, a black screen appears containing nothing except a simple menu with the option for a single player or a 2-player mode. Pressing the start button on either of the options advances to another screen, where the game asks to confirm whether the persons currently holding the game controllers are those who wish to play the game. If no option is selected, the game will return to the mode select menu. Selecting yes prompts the game to beep loudly and then display a blank red screen. Nothing more will happen on screen after this point. At this point, the game will begin and the player of the game will be subjected to a series of increasingly horrific challenges that apparently manifest in the physical world. I fucking knew it, bro! It's a survival game, but you gotta do it yourself. While players will report being chased by monsters from within the game, it appears to be to the best of the Foundation's knowledge that these elements of the game are only visible to the players and do not exist for other people who happen to be in the same area. The challenges involve players escaping from or combating hostile creatures over a series of levels. Each time a challenge is won, the game will inform the player of the objective for the next, and then the game will continue. The game manual claims the fun never ends and does not specify how many challenges must be completed to win the game, if it can be won. Though D-class personnel who have played the game have thus far managed to reach level 33. That sucks though, I mean, of course, it's the hardest game, my man. It's Dark Souls in real life. You just gotta keep dodging and rolling. Occasionally poke somebody in the butt. Once the game has begun, it cannot be halted until the player either win or are defeated. But how do you win? When do you win? Turning the Nintendo Entertainment System off simply renders the player unable to receive hints from the game, and physically leaving the area in which the game is set up is simply causes the phenomena manifested by the game to follow the player elsewhere. You cannot escape. Those playing the game grow gradually more distressed as the challenges continue, until they report that the game has become too hard for them, and they are captured by the enemies within the game, which prompts the game to end and the players to disappear. It is not currently known where the players are taken upon losing the game. That's creepy. But I do have a question now. If you have to choose one game that would force you to play it physically, like you have to do everything the game has to offer, but you have to do it with your physical body. You have to move around. You have to actually do things with your hands and feet. Which game would it be? And I would say you are yourself. You don't gain any of the game's benefit. You are the only thing you can do is what you can do already now. You don't suddenly gain like a burst of magic or like powers when you join it. It's just your own self. I don't even know if there's a game that would be okay with it. like even Minecraft, if you think about it, it can be spooky because you have to deal with zombies, creepers, skeletons, and all that stuff. Big ass spiders. I don't think there is a game that would be like, oh yeah, that would be a chill time. Even like things like Stardew Valley is like, that's just so much physical labor, which is fine, which is good. Like you'll be getting feet, you'll be working your ass off. But I feel like after like a week, you just be like, I'm done, please, and you like, and the game's like, no, you still got like 6 more months of this to go through. And you're like, oh god, oh my god. Additional materials. Test log 1. It appears that the content of the game is static and does not change on subsequent playings. Different players have reported similar events occurring on certain levels, though there doesn't appear to be some element of randomness, as some slight variation has been observed. Like listen to the music right now. It's Mario, right? Even Mario would be exhausting if you're a regular ass human being, having to deal with fucking Koopas, Goombas, Piranha Plants, Hammer Bros and shit like that. God damn. Test log 1. That's a couple of them. Let me just check if, because my friend was texting me. I just need to check. Well, she is offline for now, so we can continue. Level 1. A large number of either spiders, rats, or various insects attempt to overwhelm the player. A large container of insecticide or rodent poison appears somewhere within meter of the player location. The player wins this level when the vermin are destroyed. Level 3. A group of 2 to 6 wild animals made up of any composition of bears, wolves, and large cats attempt to eat the player. The player must survive for 1 hour. That's a long ass time. A shotgun and an accompanying box of rounds appear within meters of the player location, but using it to kill, and if the animals causes 2 more animals of the same species to appear within 5 minutes. But so basically handicap the animal. Make sure they cannot move. Shoot them in the leg. Level 7. The player... Pardon. The player's location is assaulted by either 1 or 2 hostile men armed with weapons ranging from machetes and axes to chainsaw, and on one occasion a firearm. The player must survive for either 1 hour or kill the attackers, though no weapons are provided for this purpose. Level 9. A group of 2 to 5 armed men, supposedly resembling a random group of authority or local police force known to the player, converge on the player's location and attempt to apprehend them. The player wins the level by resisting capture for a period of 2 hours. A loaded firearm appears within meters of the player location, but using it to kill any of the attackers causes the remaining gunmen to call for backup, which arrives within the next 10 minutes. Level 12. An unseen but hostile force attacks the player location, capable of manipulating physical objects including the player. 3 random objects, which are usually reported to be documents, photographs, or ornaments owned by a previous player, appear within meters of the player's location. The level is 1 when the player finds them all and burns them. Level 16. A group of 4 to 8 humanoids reported to physically resemble past users of SCP-1315 attempt to kill the player. The attackers are not armed, but will immediately proceed to fashion makeshift weapons out of nearby objects to harm the player with. The attacker can pass through solid objects and can move at a startling speed. A random weapon, usually a firearm, but occasionally a bladed weapon, or in one case a pair of binoculars, appear within meters of the player location. The level is 1 when the player uses this weapon to destroy the meat attackers. Fluff, I'm sorry, I'm gonna go. I have trouble with the video stuff. I'm just getting pissed and not able to focus on stream. I hope you get some fun SCPs, but I need to go and try to relax a little because I'm at the moment too stressed. That's fine. You take your time off. I hope whatever the issue is gets resolved on your side. I'll speak to you later. The Afro's with you. Level 18. An entity strongly resembling SCP appears in the player's location. The player must survive for 1 hour to win the level. Due to the nature of the attackers in this level, the challenge is easier for 2 players than for a single player. Level 20. As this level begins, the player finds themselves jade out. Nice. As this level begins, the player finds themselves subdued in what appears to them to be a windowless stone room. A man of unknown identity enters the room and subjects the player to a random chosen form of torture. The player wins the level if they can withstand the torture for 30 minutes without submitting to the torturer. Oof. Ugh. God, this is definitely the hardest game. Level 23. The players perceive themselves to be stranded in a dense forest. A number of creatures of indeterminate nature hunt the player, who must escape to the wooden shack kilometers from the starting location. Entering the shack returns the player to the original location and ends the level. I wonder if Markiplier would play this game. Because it's always about, like, I'm not a masochist and I'm doing everything to, like, test my own limits, test my own body. I mean, there's murder happening in this game, so I'm not sure if he would participate in that. But there's a lot of things that is about survival in this, so I wonder if he would be willing to try some of this stuff out. Only problem is you can't really select the ones you can try out, and you cannot really just, stop. Level 23. 27. The player perceives himself to be in what is reportedly a rundown urban area in darkness. A number of the shadow entities attack the player if they move too fast or make too much noise. The player's objective is to proceed to an area kilometers from the starting location, where they will find a weapon which they can use to destroy the entities. The level is 1 when the entities have been destroyed. Level 28. Entities resembling relatives and people of some importance to the player appear at the player's location. All entities are subdued in a manner that they pose no danger to the player. The player wins the level by killing the entities with a supplied weapon. This level has caused severe distress in all D-class personnel who have tested the game, as the player victims reportedly address the player personally and appeal to events that are unknown to people the victims in this level assemble. That must be very, very unnerving. Level 29. The player perceives himself to be on top floor of an outer tower of a medieval-style castle that overlooks an expanse of forest. A heavily armed, extremely hostile attacker calling himself the Professor chases the player and attempts to kill them. The player must find keys which are randomly hidden throughout the castle and then escape from the castle grounds to win this level. Level 31. The player is on a vast island containing the remains of what appears to be an abandoned military complex, a small urban area, a network of underground tunnels, and patches of dense forest. The player is pursued by the attacker from level 29, as well as a group of 3 to 6 humanoid attackers resembling the victims from level 28, who all move faster than the player and appear to communicate with telepathy. The player's goal is to survive for 24 hours. At every third hour, 2 to 4 additional humanoids will take on the appearance of past players, materialize within the game zone. The player is not provided with any weapons, so one D-class operative reported being able to stun an attacker by hurling a large rock at its head. It reportedly recovered within 30 seconds, so this gave the operative enough time to escape. Welcome to the Fluff, Seabass! Welcome to past the halfway point, but not at the end point of my SCP reading today with some G Fuel. Thank you for the hydrate. Don't want to drink all of it too fast. Level 33, they look sponged. Test log 2. Several tests have been conducted with SCP-1315 in an attempt to determine the origins and extent of its anomalous properties. Test log 2. There's more. But wait! There's more! Been looking since start, actually. I didn't know. Well, still welcome to the Fluff, Seabass. I'm happy you're here. Playing Splatoon with in the background because special event. I see. Have fun. Have fun with the Splatoon. Splash some squids for me, please. 12/10/1986. Game is run, but no options selected from the main menu. Nothing happens. Game remains on opening menu until option is chosen. 11/11/1986. Single player option selected using mechanical factory arm to manipulate controller. Game determines D-class personnel operating mechanical arm to be the player. Game begins as normal. 9/12/1986. Above test is repeated, this time using pre-programmed probe robot to manipulate control. Game refuses to advance past player confirmation screen. Of course it doesn't. Of course it's like that. It's like, yeah. You think you can trick us? No. Oh, I don't know why I had that really weird Super Smash Bros. Commercial where like, oh, was it a Nintendo commercial? I don't remember. Like, where it's like this horrible CGI commercial where it's like the Mario like Bowser's Castle music, the one that they just decided never to repeat ever again. And it's just like a bunch of horrible CGI'd character models saying, "You cannot beat us." So I don't know why like I had that memory come up when I thought of like this thing, knowing that it's not a real person using the game. You cannot trick us. 12/2/1987, 1987. NES is turned off during a game, and then an attempt is made to turn it on again. Console fails to return on. 21/2/1987. 1987. SCP-1315 is removed from NES during a game, with the console remaining on. Console does not turn off. Red screen remains, and players reportedly still being able to receive messages from the game. 8/3/1987. Above test is repeated, but SCP-1315 is then inserted into a different NES console, and the power is turned on. Game refuses to start. 19/6/1988. Foundation researchers attempt to interfere with the game, providing weaponry and supplies to the player. D-class personnel report that provided weaponry becomes jammed or breaks when used against game enemies. 31/6/1988. Above test is repeated, while weapons are left in the player's vicinity when the game begins, rather than being given during game progress. Player reports being able to use weapons without penalty. Researchers came to the conclusion that objects already presented in the environment upon game starts are incorporated into the game. 20/5/1996. Foundation researcher attempt to access game mode stored on SCP-1315 cartridge. Kilobytes of data found present on chip. Data appears to be corrupted and cannot be accessed. 31/5/1996. Game data is dumped onto a computer and copied into a second cartridge. Second cartridge exhibits similar anomalous properties to the original cartridge. Duplicate cartridge is destroyed. Copying of cartridge is banned. 28/9/1999. Dumped ROM data is open and played in a PC-based NES emulation program. Game fails to start. Testing is henceforth suspended until further development can be discovered. History. SCP-1315 was recovered from a computer and video game store on the 11/4/1986 after an employee of said store attempted to burn the establishment down in an effort to destroy SCP-1315, which he and a friend had used during a down period some days prior. Said employee was arrested by the police department and held in custody, although those on duty reported that he had not been released from his cell. He supposedly vanished and is still missing as of 2000. Other employees of the video game store were interviewed, though it has been determined that none of them possessed any knowledge of SCP-1315 or its origins. Well, yeah, the guy that vanished basically lost the game, didn't he? Except from the operational menu, included with SCP-1315 cartridge on recovery. Open excerpt. Professor Ghoul's Terrifying Horror Challenge is a realistic and scary action game that the entire family can enjoy. The manic Professor Ghoul invites all comers to test their mettle, wits, and strength in its fantastic challenge. Do you have what it takes to be victorious? Playing the game is easy. All you have to do is choose whether you want to go it alone or with a friend, and then do whatever it takes to survive level after level of horrifying action and adventure. Once you start the game, you can play it anywhere, home, in town, at school, wherever Professor Ghoul's spooky creations find you. The fun never ends. Be careful though. Professor Ghoul is a man of honor. Once you decide to take on the challenge, you can't stop until someone emerges the victor. Manage to get through with all your body parts intact and you be the coolest kid in town. Lose, however, and you're at the mercy of Professor Ghoul. There are no extra lives in Professor Ghoul's terrifying horror challenge and no second chances. Get game over and you're done. Like I said, you die in the game, you die for real. The hardest game. Truly, the hardest game. I wonder how many people on Twitter would be like, I can beat that game. Listen, I am what you would call a Sigma Chad, okay? I could easily beat that game. All you gotta do is give me the console and I'll do it. I'll do it blindfolded, okay? I can. Look at me. Just look at me. Do you think I cannot beat it? Of course I can. I'm not a pussy. And then like they try for like 5 minutes, like, oh shit. Maybe I might have made a mistake.